I found it interesting that the average partner that we surveyed, and really it was indicative of the channel overall, was 12 years old. So almost a teenager is your average channel partner in Canada now, who's now deriving 28% of revenue from cloud-related activity, whether it's resale or services or selling hardware underneath a private on-prem cloud or what have you, 28% of revenue. They believe that in 2 years' time, half of the revenue, only half of the revenue is going to be from traditional sales of IT, PCs and servers and printers and all that good stuff. So things are moving very quickly. And then we've seen this shift into services, this ongoing shift for the last number of years that we've been seeing, where now there's 20% more in 1 year, on average, of channel partner revenue coming from services rather than hardware and software. So massive shift happening. I want to talk a little bit more about that. And then 7 factors that we found of highly successful partners in Canada. So we went through all the data and said, okay, what separates out these partners over here who are really growing fast versus these who aren't growing or in negative growth territory? And so what separates them out? What are the key factors? And so we put together 7 key factors. So I want to go through those as well and give you a sense of what that looks like. So let me just go ahead. So you know IDC, we talk about the third platform, right? Big data, social, mobile, cloud, Internet of Things, of course, adds on top of that, and we layer security, of course, in that as well. So why is everyone so excited about the third platform of cloud and mobile and big data and social Internet of Things? Is because that's where the growth is coming from, right? So most of the growth, 80+% of the growth in the IT industry now is coming from the third platform. The reality, though, is that most of the spend, 75%, 3/4 of the spend, is still in the first and the second platform. The problem there is there's no growth, right? So servers, negative market this year. PCs, negative market this year, right? So some of the traditional market, storage is going to be a little bit positive. I'll give you a sense of some of the other markets and what the growth rates actually look like. The growth is coming from that third platform, as you well know. Now, the challenge is that organizations are looking at that and saying, well, what do I do about this? I've got this friction between this old stuff and these old skills and these old processes and this new stuff that I'd love to be able to get into. Okay, so that's also a good opportunity, of course, for managed services, for them to automate, and a whole bunch of other things. So I want to talk about that friction between the third platform and the first and second platform and where some of the opportunities lie when you start to get into that. And also the shift that's happening between the line of business and IT spend and how line of business is starting really to take control more of that activity. But let's look at the top issues that Canadian customers are facing in the IT environment. And so this is executives across Canada, and this is what they're saying. And so now the new #1 in Canada is security. You might be thinking, well, I've seen security be #1 on their list before. Well, actually, you've been seeing a US slide if you've ever seen it at #1 before. It's the first time it's been #1 in Canada. Right? And so they're concerned about risk and all that good stuff. They're concerned about the size of their attack surface and all the very direct attacks that are happening on very specific companies. #2 on the list, which is absolutely critical, though, and remains critical to everything we do, is the ability of IT to be able to adapt and to change. So the agility that IT is able to give back to the business is fundamentally the thing that everyone still needs to focus on. So security, absolutely an important thing to be speaking to and be wrapping around the messages that you have, but so is the agility piece. And agility over the last few years has been #1. It just got bumped down this year to #2. It'll probably get back up to #1. And so what is agility? What does all that really mean? It's the ability of an organization to be able to launch new products, launch new services, how quickly they're able to deploy applications and that kind of thing. And do you know there's a benefit for organizations, not just in kind of moving towards this warm and fuzzy word of agility and towards more innovation in their IT department, but organizations in Canada that do that we measure that are more successful in getting towards more innovation and that sort of thing, drive higher revenue in their business as end user customers. The same thing holds true with the channel, actually. Channel partners who were more invested in planning and measuring themselves and doing all that good stuff and really took a step back were actually doing better than their peers. I'll talk a little bit more about that as well. But those are the top factors that executives in this country are pointing